5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Shaun, I was looking at the internet, and the reason, as I understand it, for the Mondays reunion and for you getting back on the scene since becoming a father is down to this one guy, Cav. Is that right?
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I mean, Cav. Cav's a young lad who I've been working with now for about two years, maybe a bit longer. I'm not sure. And the thing about Cav is, when I first met him, right, it wasn't money, 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 money. You know what I mean? Which you know, a lot of young lads that get into this business, it's like, you know, straight away, you know, within 6 months they expect to be making, you know, £1,000 a day.
He was the guy that convinced you that to get the Mondays together at Get Loaded in the Park, yeah?
Well, yeah, I mean, it was 3 years, right? It'd been 3 years since we'd finished, like, you know, a tour that was like a Mondays reunion thing that was really supposed to go on for 6 months. And what I ended up doing was, after 6 months, you know, it was still great. So we ended up, you know, right, sort of filling the diary for another year. You know, and it had been, I hadn't been out with on the road since Black Grape had finished, which was, I don't know, 5 years before that, you know. And when you finish a tour, you know, it's like, I'm never going out doing that again, I'm never going out doing a tour again, you know what I mean? You know, because you've had it up to there, you know. But it's like, you know, it's like going out on a Saturday night, you know, and getting drunk as a skunk, and
never again.
You know, the next morning, never again, never again, and then by the week later, you know, you're ready for it again. Only when you come off a tour, it's like never again, and not a week, it turns into a year or a couple of years or whatever. But then you get this itch, you know what I mean? Where, you know, well, if someone says, you know, at night time, why don't you do a gig? You know, and it's not a tour, you know, it's a gig, and you know, it had been 3 years since we'd, you know, done our last show, and you know, I was in a good mood. You know, Cav, you know, we'd been working together really well, and you know, things was going good for Cav, you know what I mean? And like I say, I like the way he works and everything. So yeah, he twisted my arm,
right?
You know, and you didn't have to twist,
right?
You know, too much. I mean, especially him. You know what I mean? I mean, he's
and Gary Whelan, he was straight in on it, was he?
Yeah, I mean, basically it was. You know, when they approached Bez, well, he's ex doing it, you know, right, well, okay, Bez was like, how much, and, you know, are you doing it yet? And then it was, obviously, I don't know if it was like, are you doing it and how much, or whether it was how much and are you up for it or whatever, you know, but those were the two main things. And then with Gaz, it was like, how long, you know, well, just one gig, you know. Yeah, I'm up for it. Who else is up for it? I said, well, me and Bez and you know.
Did you, am I right, did you fall out with your brother Paul after that last tour? Was it a falling out?
Well, you see, our Paul never completed the tour, right? When that tour before, right, which is like I keep saying, that had ended 3 years ago, but that tour went on for about 4 years. About 2 or 3 years when it should have been 6 months, you know. Now, our Paul only did 6 months, and he didn't really want to do that then, you know what I mean? And he left, you know, and you know, we got another bass player in,
Right.
and you know, we carried on for another year and a half or whatever.
It's a brotherly feud.
Yeah.
Can you tell us what it's about?
You know, I mean, I can't really,
Yeah.
I can't really say.
And Gaz, you've described as the balancer in the band. He's a very positive vibe, yeah?
Yeah, Gaz now, I mean, you see, when Gaz started in the Happy Mondays, right, he was just 15-year-old schoolboy, right, and, you know, I was 18, something like that, you know. I mean, and in those days, you know, 15, 16, 17, 18, 3 years, right, you know, when you're that age makes a hell of a difference.
Yeah.
When you're 30 or 33, you know, or 27 and whatever, 30 or something, you know, or 21 and 23, there's not a difference, is there, you know?
Right, yeah.
You know, and especially, you know, 40 and 43, there's nothing,
Yeah.
you know, there's no, but when you're like, you know, 15 and, you know, 18 or whatever, and even 15 and 17, you know, there's a big, you know, sort of, it's a sort of, you know, well, you know, I'm older than him, you know, so, you know, that sort of
Was
thing.
he an apprentice for Everton?
Yeah, he was.
So he's heavily into football and a career
Well, I
in
mean, he had to make the choice. I mean, when we turned pro with the Mondays, he had to make a choice whether to go off to Everton. You know, he'd let's say, pass the test. You know, and he was on you know, the Everton books there, and it was a choice, you know, to go start being a professional footballer, you know, and or go with a band. And Gaz thought it over, and this is the days before the Premiership, right? So Gaz wanted it was Division 1 for Gaz or nothing. He didn't want to be in the 2nd division or the 3rd division, you know, or 4th division.
Yeah.
You know, he wanted 1st division or nothing. Right now, I mean, in all these sort of charity matches, you know, that you play with musicians and all that lot, you know, and against, you know, whoever, you know, the other team, you know, and there are a few, you know, in the entertainment business, few people that, you know, got trials and things like that as young lads and that, you know, but out of the lot of them all that have played, I mean, Gaz is still, he's the best footballer, you know what I mean?
Right, yeah.
But he weighed it up, and he just didn't think he'd be Division 1.
Right.
He thought he'd either be 2 or 3, you know what I mean?
Right.
And he didn't want that, you know what I mean? He was, you know, I mean, maybe he didn't have enough belief in himself there, you know what I mean, on that. And so he chose rock and roll.
Right. When you started, when you said you turned professional, how long had you spent before then, Shaun, sort of getting the ideas together and rehearsing at various people's houses and stuff?
Well, I mean, I was a telegram boy, right? And then after the age of 18, right, you a telegram boy is a great job. You doss about in the centre of Manchester with your pals, you know, and drop off telegrams, you know, to shops and things like that, and you know, to you know, all around the centre of town, and you get to, you know, but you know, you could sit in the pubs, you know, watching strippers, and you know, watching Bernard Manning, you know, do his, you know, he used to do afternoon shows in, you know, pubs and things like that, you know, and like I was 15 when I started that, you know, and then when you get to 18, it's bong. Telegram days are over. You're too old now. You got to go and become a man, a postman, you know, and.
So it was then that you decided you wanted to be a musician?
Well, yeah. I mean, it was then I decided that I wasn't, you know, cut out for work anyway. You know what I mean? Which, I mean, to be quite honest, you know, when, you know, at school, you know, when the careers officer, you know, when you're out 13, asks you what you want to do. I mean, I said I want to be a porno actor. You know what I mean? Because my mate's brother was in the army. He left the army and he got into porno films. You know, and he'd come back, you know, to you know, driving around Salford, you know, and in a nice car and all that. You know what I mean? So.
What did the career officer say in reply when he said?
Nothing like, you know, get out, dickhead. But I mean, I didn't really, you know, want, you know, have any idea of a job, you know what I mean? Like conventional job. You know.
But you and Paul were sort of making music in your house for a while before.
Yeah, I mean, since you know, when I was when I was on the telegrams, you know, I'd be running in to the lads who worked there and say, listen to this, you know what I mean? And we'd have, like, you know, we've got a drum machine, you know, just the old basic, you know, what they use at, you know, the working men's club sort of thing, you know. I mean, and now it's a lot more complicated, you know, the beats and the drum machines. But then it was a basic boom tick tick boom tick tick boom tick tick bam bam boom tick tick, you know, sort of, you know, press the button and two beat things, you know. So we had one of them, and Arthur, I think, a snare drum and a bass drum, and you know, there was Matt, who later became Central Station Design, you know, who, you know, did all the artwork for the Mondays and Black Grape and, you know, everything else. I mean, Matt, you know, was there then with his one-string guitar, you know, and we just used to mess about.
So when the Mondays came together, who thought of the name, by the way? Cheesy question.
No, you see, this cheesy question or not, right? This is a legal wrangle now that's going on between me, Gaz, Bez, and my brother, right? Now, I mean, my brother, you know, claims he made the name up, right? Totally made the name up, right? And he didn't. It was the story, you know, he'll tell one story, and then, you know, these other stories, and then even now Gaz remembers it, and, you know, and that he's quite different, you know, well, not quite different, he still remembers me, you know, like our Paul coming up with the name Happy Laws, right, which was a line out of an Echo and the Bunnymen song. And you know, no, not Happy Laws, and then I came out with something like, you know, it was either a Monday or Tuesday night, right? You know, when we was, you know, got in our little, wherever it was, either, I don't know if I had my flat then, because you know, I got a flat pretty early doors. Or whether we was in Mark Day's loft, right? And you know, and I came out with something like, you know, what about Mondays then? It's Monday, innit? So happy Mondays. And then we all went, oh man, that's such a bad twee name, you know what I mean? Bad twee name, you know, like happy Mondays, you know, and it was pretty much the opposite of what the name gives off, you know, like this twee sort of, you know, guitar-y, you know, oh, I don't know, you know, sort of,
honeycombs.
yeah, you know, sort of thing, right, which basically, you know, we was all pretty, you know, stoned and angry young men, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
And so I think for the reason that he was the opposite of what we was, right? You know, that ended up being the Mondays. Now Gaz will go for the same story about our kid, you know, saying happy laws and then somehow getting it round to the Mondays, right? But, you know, where he says it was in the pub, right? Now, at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter now, right? This really, who or what made the name up, right? That we've got down to. But, see, our kid reckons he made the name up, right? And when we went back and, you know, got the thing together, you know, for the original Back Together tour, you know, the one that was supposed to be 6 months, but went on for 2 years.
Yeah.
And then our Paul drops out after 6 months, right? Now, when we went back to that tour, right, our kid packed it in, and anyway, because, I mean, Simon, you know, Simon ran SAM, you know, Simon, you know, sort of got us all back together talking around the table. I mean, you know, me and Bez had still been main pals, you know, because, you know, Black Grape, I mean, all right, we had a falling out of Black Grape and he left, but, you know, the press make a big thing, you know, but really we actually fell out with each other for about a week. And that was it, you know what I mean? I mean, we've been mates for a long time.
And you live in houses next door to each other here, and
yeah, literally. I mean, I'm just at the back, our back gardens join on.
right.
You know, I mean, but you know, me and him, you know, have always been, you know, mates and that. And then Gaz was the what do you call it, the mediator or whatever, you know, who could speak to everyone, you know, without, you know, turning into a big row.
Yeah.
And so anyway, our Paul left, and then he wasn't doing any of the tour, but then he starts coming up with, you know, I've got the rights, I own this, I own that. So, you know, Simon didn't want any, you know, going through legal wrangles, you know, and he was busy. I mean, you know how many, you know, who Simon deals with. I mean, he's got, you know, he's the biggest promoter going, isn't he? You know what I mean? So, you know, I mean, he's you know, he's got a lot of business going on at the same time. And the last thing he needed was, when we've got, you know, dates and shows, was, you know, getting into legal wrangles with my brother.
Yeah.
So our Paul, who, you know, didn't go anywhere on this tour after 6 months, right? He demanded that he should be paid while he was sat at home on his ass, right? He should be paid, right? So for, you know, a certain amount from each show and all this lot, right, which was absolute bollocks, right, you know, and he's going, I own the name, I made the name up and all this lot, and, you know, we're saying, what a load of crap and everything, you know. Anyway, Simon kept paying him money, right, you know, anything from, you know, I don't know, he had 30 grand out of here, and, you know, God knows how much there and everything else, right, you know, with this keep going on, and, you know, like, sort of like, for 2 years, I mean, you know, he sat back and he got money, right, you know, because, I mean, and we brought another bass player in, and, you know, paid him, you know, and, you know, my brother's getting this, and I mean, the thing about the Mondays was when we sort of, you know, got involved and got on vinyl and all that lot and everything, Tony got us together and said, look, you know, what splits bands up is when you all start arguing about money. Now, Tony, I love him, right, but he's a bit of a communist, right? And communism, as you know, sounds great, everyone equal and all that lot, but it doesn't at work, you know what I mean? It doesn't work, right? So Tony decides, right, that we should, to keep it band, you know, together and all this lot, you know, and, you know, because the keyboard player, you know, he didn't do this and didn't do that, and, you know, Gaz, you know, in them days, a drum beat, now with like sort of the music's made now, hip hop and dance music and my music. I mean, a drum beat is important, you know what I mean? But, you know, back then, it was never considered a drum beat, you know, was never considered as a, you know, a part of
songwriting.
Making, songwriting, you know, it went to, like, you know, who was making the music, you know, it would be the guitarist or this or, you know, that, you know, or bass player, you know, guitarist and, you know, whoever, that sort of thing. And drummers, you know, didn't, you know, get that. And now because everything is beat orientated, you know, a lot of stuff, you know, so, you know, the sort of the beat man now is
crucial.
So, you know, Tony decides, you know, it'd be a good idea, you know, instead of just having, you know, the other lads on sort of a wage and this and that, you know, and then, you know, it'd be a good idea if I sort of gave my songwriting money, you know, and we all sort of became this equal partnership, right? Now, being young and naive and not knowing out about the business, and it's like when you're young, you know, it's like we're all mates, you know, it's all for one for the other, we stick together, you know, because we're like this gang, you know, he's my spy, you know, as the young Kenzie, you know, was coming out with, you know, me and my boys, man, you know what I mean, we stick together, man, you know, there's 18 of us, you know, and we share, man, you know, we stick together right on, you know what I mean, that's how we do it, you know how it is, you know, I've got my crew, man, you know, I've got my crew, and my crew is essential, you know what I mean, so, you know, all 18 of us, you know, we got to stick together, right? Now, when he grows up, in a few years' time, right, and he realises that there's 18 of them, but there's like, one of them doing, or two of them, right, writing all the songs and writing all the music, right, you know, then not only that, but then they have to cope with doing all the interviews, you know.
Doing the graft.
And yeah, you know, absolutely doing all the graft, right, but a few years before, me and my boys, man, you know what I mean, we're family, man, you know what I mean, we're like, you know, the Crips and the Bloods, man, you know what I mean? You know, it's there, you know, and we have to stick together, man, you know, and we'll divide it and unite, you know, and then you grow up and, you know, you have kids, you know, if you've not already got kids, you know what I mean, and you get, you know, your family building up and all this lot, and then you've got your 2 or 3 main people who are doing every bit of graft, and then you've got your other lot who sort of stood around there, you know, like this, you know, and moved about and sort of, you know, occasionally went, you know, and I went, yeah, well, I'm the one with the big fat gloves and I'm the one with the other, and you know, that's how it goes, and slow down and go, and then, you know, he's done that, you know, in thing that, you know, has been written by whatever, you know, and then it's like, hey, wait a minute, we're all getting the same money here, you know what I mean? And I've got 3 kids now, and they haven't, and they're still out doing this, and I'm having to get this done and wrote and committed for the album and this and that, you know, and you know,
so Tony had created something that was going to defeat itself.
Well, yeah, I mean, and like, you know, like, it's like, you know, I mean, we was the same as, you know, these my boys, man, we'll never, you know, this is we're mates, you know, this is our gang, you know, our firm, you know, we've been pals for a long time, you know, and that's how it's going to be, right, you know, and so we had that mentality.
But then the split in 91, 92, after Yes Please, was about songwriting, wasn't it?
Well, I mean, it started before that. I mean, it started when I gave away, right, you know, all them a piece, right, and then the music as well. Even though I didn't play an instrument, I was involved with the music. I mean, for a start, you know, the guitarist, great guitarist, but we had to educate him to music, because, I mean, he basically only knew Rainbow and Led Zeppelin, right? So anyway, you know, so I as Tony said, you know, advised us, I gave, you know, them all a piece and all that lot, and then there was Bez, right? Now Bez, you see, what they didn't understand was when I started the band, right? I mean, it's important. I mean, when you sort of our age now, you don't really give a toss, right, what the hell a band is wearing, right? You know what I mean? It's like, it's like the music, and that's what counts, and you don't really give a toss whether the lead singer's ugly or what and not, you know what I mean? And, you know, because you're listening to the music, you know, but when you're young, right, and you're breaking through, you know, you've got to have the image, you've got to have, you know, the image, and then, you know, that covers a lot of things, and the look, you know, and the sort of some sort of
attitude.
Yeah, and I hate to use the word, but some sort of gimmick or something. Not a gimmick, it's a bit of a wrong word, but, you know,
that sets you apart.
Something, yeah, you know. So, I mean, so Bez, in comes Bez, right? So Bez is our freaky dancer, right? And Bez
was the rest
also,
of the band? Was the rest of the band behind you on that? Was that?
Well,
did everybody want Bez in?
No. You see, you know, when Bez joined, now there is the arguments of how long Bez has been with us, but we've done gigs, right, with New Order and things, right? They'd started us off, you know, where we played in front of a large crowd, right? You know, and we'd done our bit going around all Europe in a little van and everything, right? But it was getting like the what exact year was that, you know? And Bez would say he joined in the beginning of '86, and we didn't have our sort of first front cover or anything, like, you know, or any proper press, you know, about us, you know, and in the Enemy or Melody Maker or anything and that, right? till Bez joined, right? You know. So anyway, this is how we can judge, right? Now, even though we've done gigs and been on mad little tours and all that lot, Terry Hall actually took us on our first proper tour, you know, where we weren't playing for beer and, you know, sleeping in the van and playing for food or whatever and just getting around Germany, you know what I mean? You know, and on to wherever, you know, France and that, and playing for food and, you know, and to just get a fan base, right? You know, now he was there, you know, doing that graft and everything through all that, but it was like, anyway, so Terry Hall took us on our first proper tour, and that was with the Colourfield in '85, right? So Bez was on the Colourfield tour with us in '85, so he'd already been with us before that, right? You know, so we know that, you know, there's, you know, the first sort of pictures of him, really, you see, the earliest ones that we've got in the press, took out of the press, was '86, right? Because that's when
Freaky Dancing.
Well, I mean, Delightful, which was the worst, horrible, corniest, crappiest tune. Delightful and Oasis was the first tune. It was produced by Mike Pickering. You know, Mike's great, and as you know, he DJed and went on to M People and everything, and, you know, but it was our, you know, first time in the studio. We didn't know anything about being in the studio, and, you know, so, and the sound that came out when, you know, we heard that back was not what we was doing. On stage. We was a lot rougher, funkier, dirtier, you know, and manic. And then on Delightful, it comes out twice as fast, very clean, you know, and Oasis the same, and it was audible. You know, it was audible. And so obviously it's like, come on, we got to get hold of this studio like quick, you know what I mean? And then John Cale produced our first album, which was Scrungy Man, 24-hour Party People, Plastic Face, Can't Smile, White Out.
I've read somewhere since then that you, looking back, you don't consider that a real album.
Well, you see, this is really funny. I would never listen to that for years, right? Then Tony, there was a track on that, right? And John made us do it, recorded it old school, you know, where you're plugging at once and you'll go, right? You know, and that's it, you'll play together, right? I mean, the songs that was on the album, you know, I had floating around since I was, you know, 14, 15 years old, you know, ideas and that. So, you know, to me, they seem very amateurish, right? But I recently heard, like, you know, one or two tracks and went, you know, hey, that wasn't as bad as I thought it was. And then we bummed as well, the second album, you know, working with Anna was, you know, great and mad and everything. But, you know, I never really, you know, listened to that. And it was when Tony played Mad Cyril, you know, that I thought, you know what, this is good, you know, this is really good. And so, you know, so at the time I wasn't, you know, we was trying to learn the studio and get the sound that we wanted, you know. And
the thing driving you at that time, because you mentioned about doing supports for New Order, and I read somewhere that there was a gig at Macclesfield Leisure Centre, and after that gig, when you'd done your support, Peter Hook said that band are going to be massive. As early as that, he sort of recognised something that was really sort of strong. Did you have that sort of sixth sense as well, that this is worth going for, you know?
Yeah, I mean,
this is worth going through all the crap about, you know, because eventually it is going to all...
Yeah, you see, but we enjoyed the crap, right?
Right.
Because for us, getting in a van, no matter how small it was with the equipment, right, and just we didn't have to pay, right, ourselves to get out of the country, to travel all around Germany,
Yeah.
you know, France, Europe, Switzerland, you know what I mean, you know, and spend months, you know, time away from Manchester,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
And
So
it's all taken care of.
that, you know, I mean, even though we was playing for, you know, playing for booze and food and very little money,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
It was great.
It was, you know, that was like, you know, brilliant, because what else would we be doing?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You know, it was like there was only one person with a job, right? You know, none of us had jobs or anything. So there was one person with a job, and all he did was moan, right? You know, and yet, you know, we're getting to go all over, you know, and, you know, really get ourselves, you know, educated.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you know, just by, you know, just getting about and, you know, and all this, you know, and doing what I was doing, educated and doing, it was like an apprenticeship, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Ready? Go. So where was we up to?
So about Bez coming into the band, the
Yeah.
rest of the band
Yeah.
couldn't understand your plan, could
Yeah,
they?
no, the rest of the band didn't get it. I mean, it's like, you know, why have you brought your mate in, what's this going on, you know, and it's like, look, you know, he's not a dancer. Bez is Bez, he's there, he's on stage one for us, right, you know, so that we get a buzz off him, right, and also, right, it's like, I'm also thinking videos, right, and, you know, and image for the band as well, part of that, you know, and him, you know, I hate the word dancer because he's more expression, he's more of a vibe, he's a Bez, you know, so anyway, you go, right, okay, you know, right, and, you know, so when it came down to interview, it was, and you know, it was like, they always wanted me and Bez. The rest of the band was really happy with that because they didn't mind, because it meant less work for them. They didn't want to do it, right? Mm-hmm. But then, right, when, you know, we started getting front covers and things, and then have the band on, you know, on the inside cover, you know, on the inside spread. But then on the front covers, it was me and Bez, you know, heads together, anoraks, you know, and like that, you know, or over our, you know, with hoods on, you know, back in the day, you know, and then, you know, basically we did all that graft and, you know, telly interviews, all the interviews like that, you know, which at first, you know, they didn't want to do that, you know, because it was too much, too knackered. Mm-hmm. So we did that, and we did partying and everything. Then more and more, you know, on stage, Bez's actions start getting more manic, and, you know, and he's staring out the crowd, and he's getting them going, and, mm-hmm. and then you get the sort of thing like, you know, oh, well, you know, kids who, you know, well, you know, I can't play guitar, I can't do drums, but I can do that, give us a job, I can be a Bez, you know what I mean? Yeah, yeah. And it was sort of something that every kid could identify with, you know what I mean, if they couldn't play an instrument as well, you know what I mean? And then, as well as him looking good in videos, you know? Yeah. I mean, you know, he looked great in the videos, and it was like, then you got band members saying, well, I want to do an interview, you know? All of a sudden, before they didn't want interviews, and all of a sudden, there's somebody's bird down there. Why aren't you doing interviews? You should be on the front cover of this, you know, you should be doing that, you know. So, and then, you know, when it was like you get paid for some interviews, it was like, well, they definitely want to do them now, you know what I mean? Yeah. Anyway, you know, they all had to go interviewing, and the phone would go and go, look, we don't want keyboard player. That's when the jealousy started going then, you know what I mean? Yeah. And the other point was, I gave all the band members parts of my royalties for songwriting, right? So Bez was on a wage, right? And so just like half of them, would have been just on a wage, right? You know, I said then, right, I give you all a piece of my writing and you know, music, you know, and all that. What I want you all to do is give 1% each of you, what I give you, donate to you, you know, certain amount of percent. I want you to give Bez just 1% off that what I give you, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I forget how many percent he had, right? So that he's got a pension, he's got his PRS, you know what I mean? Not just the wage like you had. And not one of them would do it, right? Not one of them. No way. I'm not doing that. No
Was that
chance.
near to the split? Or
No,
was
this
it
was
early on?
Early on, this.
Right.
This was early on, you know.
Right.
No, you know, not a chance. And even like, you know, when you know, they knew he pulled the profile up and things like that, you know, they would not part with a percentage of what I give them that they shouldn't have, so that they'd have a bit of a pension, you know, instead of just being on a wage, you know what I mean? And none of them would give. I mean, and I ended up sorting out theirs with royalties, right? None of them. Now, I mean, Gaz now understands the game and understands how important, but it was like, you know, the guitar player, I'm the guitar player, I'm more important, because he's birds down his ear, you know what I mean? You know, and, you know, the other one got down his ear, and all, it's like, and then all that 1 for 1 and all for 1, you know, and we'll always stick together. But as you grow up, you know, that sort of, you know, you still have friends and things, but you know, where your boys are your life, you know what I mean, and they come before your girlfriend. But you know, when you start, you got a family and all that, like, you know, I mean, that goes out the window, that sort of mentality. Do you know what I mean?
Talking about the sound of the Mondays now, from Squirrel and G-Man right through to Yes Please. You were talking earlier about, you know, Mike Pickering wasn't getting the rough funk sound.
Yeah, I mean,
looking back on the 6 years. What was it when Oakenfold and Osborne, when they came together? Was that something you wanted?
Right.
Who was the architect of the sound?
Right. We'd been knocking about in Ibiza, me and Bez, right? And the sort of sound that we always wanted was this funky, dirty, rocky. And then again, not dirty, dancey, movie sound, you know what I mean? Right? Which is a real hard thing to explain. And then we hear Oakenfold DJing in Ibiza, right? You know, and OK, you know, was mixing in, dance tunes, you know, and then in the mix of the dance tunes, right, you know, we'd have, I think, bands like the Wooden Tops, right, you know, he'd have a guitar bit going, you know what I mean, he'd mix just a bit of the guitar bit in, you know what I mean, and into the dance thing, you know, and then he'd mix something else in, you know, sort of a Northern Soul record sound, and then bung a Balearic, you know, with the thing, and then back to the beat, you know what I mean, and what he was doing, and how he was mixing and all that lot, was really what knocked it on the head. I nailed what we wanted as a sound, you know what I mean? Which, you know, on the live sort of gigs, we could get nearer to that, do you know what I mean? Anyway, so we go back and it's like, who do you want to produce this next album? And like, you know, me and Bess said, Paul Oakenfold, Tony Wilson, all that lot, and everyone else. Who's Paul Oakenfold? And he's like, Tony, I think one, and said, he's a DJ. And I said, yeah, he's a DJ. So it's like, well, he's not a producer. Well, there's a tune called Jabaro, right? Listen to this tune. So it's got Oki, you know, producer, and it had the big eyeball on from Spectrum, you know, and it was this great, Balearic tune, right? And so anyway, they agreed, and somehow the band agreed and said, yeah, you know what I mean, as well, right? And then OK has got Steve Osborne, and Steve Osborne, right, was the man who pressed the buttons and engineered it and all that lot, and things. And OK as the DJ, he'd say, like, would you do this, Steve, or make that into this, right? So I mean, OK at that time wasn't necessarily a button presser. He knew, he probably knew about doing a desk about as much as I did, you know what I mean? But his ideas was there, and then when you're a good engineer, then you get them ideas over and work together. Do you know what I mean?
And the Manchester Rave On EP, that was the first one using Oakenfold, yeah?
Well, you see, we used Anna, and then we did the Oakenfold remixes.
Pills, Thrills and Bellyaches, that was the best seller. Was that also your happiest time?
Pills, Thrills and Bellyaches, right? That, I mean, you see, after all the graft that we'd put in before that, right, all the years we'd put in before that, Pills, Thrills and Bellyaches, right, really should have been, right, should have looked at it like this. Now this is the beginning. We've had, been at the top of the indie charts and all that lot, and, been the nice boys, the golden boys of all the Music Express, type papers and sounds, right? And, Bummed and things now. I mean, Rope for Luck was actually on Bummed, but it gets more associated with Pills and Thrills because Oakenfold did the remix of that, and then, that went into the charts, back into the charts, you know what I mean? Because it had been released, and went to number 50, and it was on Bummed, you know what I mean? So, I mean, we was never a singles band, we was an album band, and we wasn't looking at robbing pocket money off 9-year-olds, I mean, we was an albums band for an adult audience, right? We smoked dope, we talked freely about things like that, and I wouldn't change and get involved in the Smash Hits Brigade, because of that, and I also wouldn't do things because I don't believe in robbing money off little kids, and some of the things that they wanted us to do was blatantly just, robbing little kids' pocket money, which giving to them off their parents who, have to earn it, you know what I mean? So we wouldn't play that game, right? And we stuck by our guns and still got there, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so Pills and Thrills, really, by that time, we'd become property then of the tabloids.
Right.
You know what I mean? So because you've done Top of the Pops, and once you do Top of the Pops, right, you're no longer just the property of the sounds and the enemy melody makers, your tabloid property, right? Once you've done Top of the Pops. So, all the things that we said about smoking pot and dropping an E and all that lot, which had been reported in the music press, right? Then suddenly, after saying that for a couple of years, suddenly Bong were, tabloid property and all
Sensation.
this stuff. He's this band, take ecstasy and smoke dope and this and that, you know what I mean? And they actually thought, well, that's going to ruin the career, you know what I mean?
Right.
But it didn't, it even made it just go boom,
Right.
because, at one time, a band, like Duran Duran or something, or, that could have killed him, something like that, you know what I mean? But we was always open about it from day one when we started doing the music press, so then they transfer what stories that had been in the music papers, repeat them in the things, and you know, shock horror, do this, do that, and they did this, and it was like we even got more fans. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
And you know.
So that was a great album to do and to promote, and all of this, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you know, and so was Bummed.
Yeah.
You know, because Bummed, you know, as well, you know, Bummed, you know, we was on a bigger budget then as well, and we was, you know, doing decent size sort of, you know, gigs and all that lot.
Yeah.
But what happened was, when we was doing Bum, we sort of went from playing, you know, say to, like, you know, 1,000 people, say at the most, and then we missed the stage where you went and did sort of the Apollo Theatres with a couple of thousand, you know, 2,500 people in them sort of venues, right? We sort of went from like the 900,000 capacity and 600, right, straight to bang the arenas,
right.
You know, so we cut that out, you know what I mean?
Now, after Pills and Thrills, there must have been a lot of pressure on you.
Well, yeah, after Pills and Thrills, right, and especially after all the graft we'd done before, non-stop, you know, though we'd been on tour, you know, or grafting without any time off, you know, really, just into doing this, you know, it just felt like, you know, it was like 19, 18, you know, or whatever, and Gaz was still 15, and then suddenly, like, you know, we wake up at Pills and Thrills, and, you know, I'm in my 20s, you know, I don't know, 26 or something, you know what I mean? You know, and that, from Pills and Thrills then, you know, we should have stopped, had a rest, everyone was getting on top of each other, right? You know, because, you know, Bez was a forgiving person, and even though they wouldn't part with you know, a bit, you know, some royalties, you know, to Bez, you know, years had gone by and all that lot, you know, and you know, he'd forgot and all that lot, and we, you know, you know, we had a good time and everything, and then the work gets hard and the schedule gets hard, you know, and after, you know, Bummed and all that lot, you know, and then Pills and Thrills. So really, that should have been right. Now this is the start. Now we've done all the graft, and it's top of the pop stage now, and onwards. You know, we'd already, you know, we did the arenas and things, you know, because we passed the sort of, you know, we missed out on the sort of Apollo Theatre things, you know, and after we'd done that and we'd been in LA for a few months, you know, we toured America and then went straight to LA for 3 or 4 months and made Pills and Thrills, right? Had a great time, you know, making it, and we then, after it being a hit and successful and everything, you know, and able to get factory, you know, things that it needed, you know what I mean, moving to the offices, you know, about new offices and things like that, and you know, a great lot of changes, you know, and you know, 30 grand for the board meeting table, you know, that was designed by Mucky Dwaki Tatmani, you know what I mean, you know. You know.
But you're saying, on reflection, after that, the Pills and Thrills era, you should have stepped back.
Well, I suggested that then, right? I suggested, right, look, you know, all right, we'll go and promote this album, which we did, right, you know, and I mean, Step On, right, was, you see, that was an accident anyway. That was done for Elektra's 25th anniversary. And what everyone had to do, we was on Elektra in America, and what everyone had to do was look through Elektra's catalogue, right, and pick a song by another Elektra artist, and do that, and that was going to go on to this special thing, you know, with all the Electra people, you know, and there's some greats on there doing other Electra stuff.
Yeah.
So, you know, we're writing stuff for Pills and Thrills, and you know, it's like, look, you've got to do this for Electra's thingy, right? So basically, we didn't have time, you know what I mean? So they gave us all this catalogue and all this lot, and we turned this cassette, and we turned it on, and the second song we heard this sort of beat and everything, and we went, you know what? That's a piece of piss. That all we need to do is the bass line, get Oki to throw a nice drum, you know, a nice beat over it, right? Listen to the words, sort of thing. I rewritten a couple of the verses, and then I stuck, you know, you twisted my melon, man, you know, you talk so it, man, call the cops, you know what I mean? Thing, stuck that in and changed a few verses around. Then it was like back to Congus, Congus was a, you know, bit of an arsehole, you know, and he wouldn't give on, you know, even though that had been redone and remade, rewritten, you know, he wanted this royalties and that, you know what I mean? So, you see, because when we'd done it, we thought, while we, you know, we're waiting for this to come out, we'll stick this out, you know what I mean? Because it's a, you know, good poppy single and all that lot. And we stuck it out, right? And we, you know, we kept it. We didn't put it on the album. We kept it. It was a, you know, it was really sort of, you know, done like that. You know, something we didn't really need to do, but we, you know, because we was concentrating, but we did it. Put it out as a single instead of giving it to Electra for them. Did another track for Electra, which was the B-side of that.
Tokoloshi.
Yeah, Tokoloshi. And then we put that out, and you know, boom, you know, that took off there, you know what I mean?
How do you remember after the Pills and Thrills and you didn't have a rest, you kept on, grafting? Now, what are your sort of memories of the wind down period?
Right.
So you're recording Yes, Yes Please and that. How do you see that nowadays?
Right. One, after, you know, going out and promoting it, you know, that album, you know, took it really out of you. You know, when you're on the road and you know you're going everywhere, all around the world and everywhere and everything, you know, it really took it out of you, right? And you know, you was depending more and more on drugs, not because hey, let's take drugs for fun, but fuck me, we've got a schedule here that's like a motherfucker, and how the hell can we fly over here, you know, you get an hour's kip after working, you know, working God knows how many days on the run, get on, you know, plane, do a tour, you know, and then, you know, sort of get straight out of the plane, go and do a TV and all that lot, you know, you basically needed to stay awake, you know, and get on with it, you know what I mean? And so, you know, how the hell do you do that? You know, I mean, I don't care, you know, who or what, you know, say, you know, oh, anti this, anti drugs, right? You know, I mean, I've seen people, you know, people that I work with and the grafters, the umpers, the roadies and the crew, you know, some who wouldn't even smoke a joint, you know, but after like, you know, a couple of years of grafting, you know, and no sleep and everything, you know, they, you know, person I'd have to end up taking coke or amphetamine just to keep up and stay awake and going, you know what I mean? And, you know, so, I mean, that really spiraled, you know.
And what did you rate the album? Yes Please? Did you
Well, the thing is, about Yes Please, right, as I said, we suggested, right, after we toured Pills and Thrills, right, that we take a break. We need a break, right? You know, there was talk in the camp again of, oh, he's had enough of him, and, you know, I'm going to want to do this now and do that. I said, look, you know, Mary, you know, you want to do this, you want to do that, why don't you take a break, right? And if you want to go off and do a sort of bit of a project with such a body, go and do that, it winds you down, you know. You want to go and do something and with somebody, you know, you go and do that, and then, you know, take a break and all that lot, right? And anyway, it was, all this talk behind the backs and everything, suddenly stops. And then when they was told, right, go and make your album and no break, go and do it. Now, it was what had happened in that time, like Oki and Osborne, really, from Oki being a DJ, suddenly, because of that album, he'd become an in-demand producer.
Yeah.
Oki and Osborne team, you know what I mean? And everyone wanted to work with him, and their schedule, was big and full and everything, and it had been, I don't know, a year or whatever, or 2 years, I don't know, I can't remember, but so it's like they get a phone call, right? The Mondays doing an album now. We need you in 2 weeks' time in blah blah, and it was we're through doing such a body's album, and and we've got to finish that off, and we've got to do that, but we can be with you in 2 months, 3 months, right? And then this is where you get right off some of the band members and some of the management, and the record company. Hey, we made Oakenfold, he was a DJ, he was just a DJ, we turned him into this wanted producer, how dare he, Oakenfold, not just drop everything that they're doing and just come running over to Barbados and do our album. You know what I mean? I mean, that was, these people thought that, and it was like, come on, that's unreal. They're in the middle of something, they ain't being funny, The guys obviously wanted to do the next album and everything.
Yeah.
We'd got on the right vibe, right? We had the right chemistry. We had everything, going what we eventually got, right? But God, man, in that time there'd some egos come out, you know what I mean? And egos and people down your ear, and 20 people, 30 people telling one weak person how good he is, he's going to kill him, you know what I mean? And how brilliant you are, of another 20 people.
So whose choice was Tina Weymouth and...
Well, this is it, right? They couldn't wait this couple of months for Osborne and Oakenfold, right? Some of the band and some of the record company and management, right? We're not waiting. They should be there for us now, and it's like, look, wait, I'm telling you, you've got to wait. You can't do this album without Oki and Steve, right? No way. And again, me and Bez, right, it's like, can't do it, you've got to wait, and Faction wanted another one, another album.
Were they up shit creek by that time financially then?
No,
that's the myth goes that way.
You see, what had happened is, right, New Order, right, had laid off for a while, right, and so they hadn't had an album out for a couple of years, right, and basically Tony, even though his club was full of dance music and all that lot, and we was going up to Tony, right, saying, Tony, look, somebody's just come up to me with this, right, this tune, now they want you to put it out on Factory, and it'd be, great dance tune and all that lot, and Tony go, no, I'm not doing it. And like, this is why Mike Pick left, right, because Mike Pick, we was on the same thing, and what Tony was doing was, they bought the new building, and then, we had the club, and then out of the money, that we brought in, they bought the new offices, and then they bought Dry Bar, right, and then what they was doing then is the A&R guy, right, he's then like giving every guitar band that came along, he's giving them all 30 and 40 grand to get in a studio. You know, loads of them, there's 30 grand going to the studio, there's 30 grand going to the studio, there's 30 grand going to the studio, right? When we're getting people coming up to us saying, Shaun, we take this to Tony, right? It's a dance tune and everything and all that lot. And Tony, knock it back, and you know, no way. And literally a month later, this tune that we'd been offered, right, was there at top 5 in the charts and #1 in Europe, right? And that happened with several tunes, right? You know, a lot of tunes, you know, that knocked back and then they gone somewhere else, and then the #1s and in Europe and everywhere, making a fucking fortune, recorded in the bedroom, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And Sony was knocking them back. Now he'll be first to admit this now, you know, he will. And but no, what they was doing was, so basically there was only our money coming in, right, to keep all this new building going, the new bar going, and then giving out 30 and 40 grand to every fucking guitar band that was going, because everyone was come from London and they was wiping people up left, right and centre. It was like when punk first started. You know, anyone with spiky hair and could just make one chord, they got signed up, you know what I mean? And that was sort of the same thing. So then, you know, under sort of Tony and his A&R guy, you know, we're sticking with this, you know. We want another sort of a Mondays, you know, guitar-y sort of mixture sort of thing, or not, you know, or just guitar-y thing, you know. Even though he could see his club and the days of the guitar band was coming to an end at that point, right? You know what I mean? And it was pure club culture. You know, so there was only our money coming in for that. So when we'd finished doing all that, it was album straight away. Why? Because there was only us bringing money in for the company, right? And they was blowing it, right? You know, on, you know, they got all the stuff, as I said, but then keep giving 30s and 40s grands away for these guitar bands that made nothing.
The Happy Monday story towards the end could have been very different if they'd have just waited those 3 or 4 months for Oakenfold and Osborne.
Yeah, and if
you could have stayed together.
Yeah, you know, absolutely, totally different, right? And so could the Factory story, right? You know, I mean, you know, because if they'd have took these dance tunes, listen to me and Mike Pickering, right? They'd have made a fortune, because no studio time was needed, no 30 and 40 grand to make these albums and dance singles, you know, that was made in the, you know, Mike Pick's first album with, you know, MP, who was done in his bedroom.
So basically, Yes Please, when you were out there doing the sessions, was an album that you would rather not have been doing?
Well, yeah, absolutely. Me, I did not want to do it, right? No disrespect to Chris and Tina Weymouth, right? You know, Talking Heads bassist, Talking Heads drummer, you know, Tom Club, right? You know, now the musos in the band, right, and the ones that, hey, you know, we're not waiting, like, again, my brother, and then PD and all that, and then egged on by, you know, Tony and everything. It's like, we're not waiting, and then, you know, it comes up with, what about Chris and Tina, right? And straight away, you know, no disrespect to Chris and Tina, brilliant, but guess what? They're taking us backwards instead of forwards, right? Going, we're working with Chris and Tina and spending 2 days just on getting the drum sound right, you know, and, you know, God knows how many hours and weeks on a guitar riff and all that lot, you know, when none of that muso bullshit was needed. And, you know, especially, you know, being against sort of like, you know, using, I mean, Tom Club, okay, use technology, but, you know, not in how we wanted to use it, you know, and things like that. And then, you know, let's take that off there, you know, bang it on for now, and then replay it, you know, a bit different, and then, you know, and do the tunes and all that lot. And then the tunes I was coming up with and things that I was coming up with was rejected, right? And they just concentrated on, you know, getting, you see, them to become this tight band, which the Mondays was self-taught.
Yeah.
You know, never had a lesson in life.
Yeah.
Gaz had 3 drumming lessons. Our kid had
Yeah.
1 bass lesson, right?
Yeah.
Mark, you know, he could read. He was the only one who could read music, right? But what good that did him? You know what I mean? Fucking hell. I mean, because, you know, Mark, you'd say to Mark, you know, would you do this? And he'd go, you can't do that. I say, why? Well, you can't do that. I can read this and there's that. He said, well, I can't read music and I know you can do it.
Yeah.
So forget what he says on there and just do it.
Yeah.
So, you know, well, you can't do it because he doesn't do it if you can't read it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So just do it, bung, and he'd do it, right? You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So, you know, sometimes reading music, you know, it can restrict you. You know,
And the
all
critics
that.
picked up because Yes Please got into the top 20, but the critics sort of panned it, so they picked
Yeah,
up that you weren't heading anywhere.
Yeah, well, you see, that was it. I mean, you know, it was great. It really fed the egos of my brother, Paul Davis, and everybody else, Mark there, you know. It really fed their egos because what he was doing, Chris and that, was they got this band there, right, and they go, these aren't a tight band, we've got to turn these into a really tight unit, right? Which, when we was doing our stuff, right, that didn't matter.
Yeah.
We all knew what key we was in, we all knew, you know, when the changing was, and that was part of the elasticated funkiness, especially then mixing it with technology, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So they fed their egos and did this, right? And all as I could hear all the time was Talking Heads, right? You know, Talking Heads, Tina Weymouth's bass, you know, the Talking Heads, you know, the Tom Tom Club, right? And me and Bez, you know, was sitting there listening, you know, we weren't in the studio, not, you know, because, you know, we should have been in there at that particular time, but they was concentrating on wanking them lot off, right? You know, and it was like, no way, why couldn't they wait? Instead of going forwards and doing it and using it, how we worked with Oakey and Osborne, right?
Yeah.
And us having the same ideas and what we wanted, then they went back working old school, right, time, you know, and, you know, and it was so basically I spent my time getting stoned off my bollocks, right? I didn't write any lyrics for those songs, right? Because the lyrics that I had and the music ideas that I had, right, for this, you know what I mean? You know, when we got over to Barbados, the stuff that, you know, we'd been working on got scrapped, right, straight away, changed, and they followed like sheep. Right, and we shouldn't have gone with them. No disrespect, but we should not have gone. We should have waited, right? And no, they went with them. Hey, look, it's Talking Heads. It's surefire hit. Great big producers. You know what I mean? But
so was Black Grape and It's Great When You're Straight? Yeah, was that Sweet Revenge for you?
Well, not Sweet Revenge.
Was that where you want?
Some of the songs off that album was wrote for the Mondays.
Yeah, that's what
Yes Please album.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Right, and so what happens is that I go, I come back from Barbados, right? I'm cracked off my skull, 3 or 4 months, right, just smoking crack, you know what I mean? So anyway, the album comes out, right, and it's, let's say, it wasn't panned, right? It wasn't panned, it's just that not everybody said it was brilliant. Not everybody said it was good. You know, I'd say a lot of people said it was disappointing, right, you know, and, you know, a lot of, you know, journalists said, you know, it took a step backwards, which, you know, and all that lot.
That must have pissed you off.
Well, no.
No?
I mean, because one, I knew for a start why I was fighting, you know, for what I wanted, right? And then, okay, you got a few, still people say, it's a good album, it's a good album, I like it, it's great. Even some people said, it's better than Pills and Frills, which, to me, the people that said that was, totally indifferent into, not what I was doing, and probably wasn't a fan
But
before.
I meant it would have pissed you off because you could have sensed what it could have been.
Absolutely. I mean, that pissed me right off, right? And, but what did he do, right? The rest of the band, right? Instead, sticking together like a team and going, you know what? This is the first time that we've had an album panned. Still in the charts, right? We've still got a single, off it, top 10 single, you know what I mean, whatever. I don't care, because we never played that game about singles, where if you don't have every single you release go in the top 5, or whatever, or number 1, then you drop. We never played that game. I mean, I did like Pink Floyd. Pink Floyd never, for 20 years, had a hit single, or a top 20 single, right, until 1980 with Another Brick in the Wall. Yet, for years, their albums sold fucking loads. They wasn't there for the little kiddies.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
So the rest of the band couldn't cope with it?
They couldn't handle it, right? It was my fault because you were stoned. And it was your fault because, you did this. What he was forgetting to say as well, that the rest of them was stoned, right? They made that decision to go with them. They got totally mugged and wanked off by Chris and Tina, having the cock strokes, you know what I mean? And telling them how great he was, and let them totally take over, and then it's all blames on, you doing drugs, you doing that, and and when and then there was me and Bess, right? Obviously, we're saying told you so, and I was stoned. We was, it didn't matter if Bess was stoned or not, you know what I mean? Because I mean, basically what Bez did in the studio was he was used as a punter, like a critic, you know what I mean? Whether if Bez tapped his foot to it and could get the groove to it, it was a hit.
Right.
If it didn't and it didn't tickle him, then it wasn't. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it put it this way, it didn't have him in hysterics, right? You know what I mean? Yeah, he sort of got a little, buzz off bits of it, you know what I mean? But but they could not stand after, not having anything really musically criticised. It just crumbled them, and it was like I say,
the end of the Monday.
The end really, and where after Pills and Frills, that should have been the start.
Right.
That was the start, when you've done all your graft and everything, and you've done.
But you got to prove your point with Black Grape.
Well,
didn't you?
I mean, the thing was, is like, straight away, they'd all left. Me and Bez was in Nathan's office, and we fucking literally begged them not to split up. In fact, you can ask Gaz this, right? You'll meet Gaz somewhere along the line, right? While you're filming this, right? Or whatever. But you can ask Gaz. I mean, we begged, right, not to split up, right? Because what it was, we was just a lucky bunch of misfits, right? Who got together, who had, sort of same taste in music, what we wanted. And then we had Dozy Day, of course, great guitarist, but brilliant guitarist, really, but had to be told what to do, you know what I mean? And when he did it, boy, did he do it, But, so, we begged them not to split up, to go off, you just had one album panned. It's not the end, you know what I mean? One album, you know.
Well, they wouldn't.
You know, I mean, you know, we even saying, look, you know, in 10, 15 years' time, you know, this could end up, you know, with you know, actually people going, actually, you know, it was a good album and one of those albums, you know, what I mean, you never know, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, but they wouldn't have it, and that was it. We're leaving the band, and their quotes was, right, we'd rather go on the dole than work with you, right? Now what they forgot as well, right, is that they forgot in the space of a few years, right, that they had got used to living with dole, got used to, you know, being able to virtually buy what he wanted, get you know what he wanted, you know, do what he wanted, and comfortable, right? You know, and you know, it was like we'd go back on the dole, you know, and we'd rather do that, you know, and live, you know, live a bit, you know, hard for a bit, you know, and then work with you and all that lot, and ever again, right? You know.
So that was the end of the Mondays.
Yeah. You know, and
now,
that was it.
Fast forwarding, we're running a bit out of time, Shaun, but fast forwarding to...
Well, basically, you know, in
what,
a year and a half, right, while they're all saying what they're doing, right, none of it ever came to attention, right, none of it ever got anywhere. I kept my mouth shut for a year and a half, right, I never said anything, right, you know, what I was up to, what I was doing, you know what I mean. I took all the, you know, the criticism and all that lot, and then
you came out with a Mercury Award album.
Yeah, you know, #1, you know, album there with an award and everything.
Yeah.
So
that must have been sweet revenge.
Absolutely, yeah. Absolutely. I mean, and they then like had breakdowns because you couldn't get used to having to fucking, you know, the ones that had to go and sign on.
Yeah.
Couldn't get used to fucking, you know, watching every penny. You know, it had breakdowns and all sorts.
So last year, the year 2004, Shaun, was a great year because you worked with Bez on Domino Bones. Then there was the Get Loaded in the Park, where Happy Mondays sold 13,000 tickets.
Yeah. I mean, we did the Get Loaded in the Park, right, which was, you know, it was a very quick thing, right. It was Cav, look, you know, we've got a date here, it's Get Loaded in the Park, we've got to Get Loaded in the Park. It's on the same day as V, Glastonbury's just been on, everyone spent the money, but, you know, let's go for it, you know, see, you know, the money. So we sold like 13,000 to 14,000 tickets, right, you know, it was on the same day as V, you know, we literally only weeks to, you know, to advertise it and pull it off, and we just got the tickets gone like that, you know what I mean? So that really made us, you know, pleased.
So basically, the Happy Mondays fans are still out there. The band is back together, so things are looking good for the future.
Yeah, I mean, we've always been, right, the sort of lineup that we've got. We've got the 3 original members, right, and then, you know, one of the guys who was in Black Grape, right, you know, which, you know, so I mean, we've always been there to come and do a gig when we want, and like the last one was just last summer, you know, which was, you know, which, like I say, it was the last minute event, and we sold that out, you know.
And then you did Barcelona.
And you know, and then and as for working, you know, with the Mondays, I mean, that's always on and off. I mean, there's a possibility that we will do a new album. You know, I mean, that's always been a possibility, but you know, there's a strong possibility that we do a new album. You know, I mean, and also, you know, I got to produce Bezzy's Domino Bones single, you know, which was great, you know.
So anything can happen.
Yeah.
Shaun, thanks very much for your time.
Oh, cheers. Thank you.
Right.
Make it look like you know what you're doing.
haven't got a fucking clue. Don't even... I'm just making it up as I go along.
Does that affect me going up?
Okay, one, two, one, two. He's gonna step on you again.